So I went in the Air Force. After you see the movie, you'll understand. I went in the military, didn't have a lot of money. I had a mom that was trying to take care of 3 kids, basically putting a roof over our head. So I went in the military, and I was lucky enough to become a protocol officer. Anybody in the United States Air Force? Anybody in the military? Well, the protocol officer has a very, very, very important job. He makes sure that the general's underwear is clean, and he makes sure the coffee is poured, and he makes sure everybody's on schedule. Just take care of the general. So when I was in the Air Force, I realized I really liked taking care of people. So after the Air Force, I went into the hotel business. My first hotel was the Embassy Suites in Times Square. Then I went on to become the director of operations at the Plaza Hotel, actually front office operations. Then I went to a little hotel called the Algonquin Hotel, which is at the time, probably 1920s, the most famous hotel in New York City, and turned that around. That's really where I became known as the turnaround guy, going into difficult hotels that once were but no longer are, and really turned it around, really worked with my team. And if anybody's ever worked in a New York City hotel in the Union, you know that's no small task. So I really depended on my team. It was really difficult. So I really started turning around hotels then. Then I became the assistant vice president, or actually first vice president, of Tishman, which is an asset management company in New York City, where we were repositioning and building hotels, the Westin Hotel, the Intercontinental Hotel. And that's when, one night, drum roll, please.
And we got the drum section right down here.
She's good. You want to come over here?
Good.
So one night, I'm sitting downstairs, and my wife and I are watching television. And I put my hands on my face, and that means an idea is coming. And about 3 minutes, literally later, I look at my wife and I say, I think I'm going to do a television show about the hotel business. I'm sick and tired of seeing cop shows, hospital shows. It's time to know what great people are in the industry, how difficult this industry is, and really, it's time for us to have our own show. And she looks at me, only like a caring wife of, at that time, 18 years could, looked at me and goes, who the hell wants to see you on television? True story, and to this day, and we just announced the 4th season yesterday, so to this day, thank you. So she still can't figure out who the hell wants to see me on television. So that's kind of really cliff notes of what I've done. But during this 20-year career, one of the things I've realized, and it took a moment at the Algonquin Hotel to realize what I was doing. 20 years, I was building a brand. 40 years, Red Roof Inn was building a brand, and it could have went sideways, it could have went up, it could have went down, with any small thing or any big thing. So I didn't realize I was building a brand. Most of us don't. As soon as you're born, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, you're building a brand. You're the good child, you're the smart child, you're the one that your mom and dad can depend on, you're good in sports, you don't listen, you listen. I have 3 little girls, and they're all different. One day, I'm sitting at the Algonquin Hotel. I had to go into the Human Resources office to look at my file. And even as general manager, you're not allowed to look at your file, but I don't really follow rules very well. And so I'm in the Human Resources office. The young lady's not there. My director's not there. And I open my file because I have to see something about my medical benefits. And I open it up, and in the file, there's a cover letter. And on the cover letter is the 7 people that they called for references. And all the references are behind the cover letter, but the cover letter just has a couple of bullet points for each person. Now, most of these people I've either worked with, I'm friends with, I've worked for, or worked for me. And all probably have good relationships with me, or so I thought. So in a nutshell, this is what the cover letter said from all 7 of them. He's very difficult to work with, but he gets the job done. Because I'm a turnaround specialist, so you don't call me in unless you want me to turn around your hotel. And we all know, by show of hands, who've turned around hotels, okay? Pretty hard thing to do. So I sat down and I was like, how about if I didn't get the job? Like, they told me I was difficult to work with. But they knew who they were talking to, a hotel company that wanted a hotel turned around. So I said, okay, I guess that's my brand. The first 6 months, I'm very difficult to work with. I always say, if you work for me for 6 months, but you leave before the 6-month mark, you probably never work with me again. If you work with me after 6 months, you'll probably only want to work with me, because I am a little difficult to work with, but I get stuff done because I don't do it. I depend on my team to do it, whether it be the housekeeper, the front desk person. So very early on, I realized the importance of a brand.
Now, are we talking about passion, or are we talking about obsession?
I am extraordinarily passionate, and I am extraordinarily obsessed. But that's not really the key. Those are not the key words. What's the key word in our industry? What's the key word? I am obsessed and I am passionate about this industry. But what is the number one word? What is the number one word in our industry? Anybody? Service? I knew somebody was going to say that as the first word. Anyone? Number one word. Who said guest? Prize winner right there. The guest. What do we do in our industry? We take care of guests, and you've heard of it. You know, you heard it a million times, the guest, the guest, the guest.